Good morning. Morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington. I'm Graham Otten, your service leader this morning. I'm joined by our worship associate, Millie Otten. I use he and him as my pronouns. If it's your first time with us, let me tell you a little bit about the house you've just walked into. We put love at the center of everything we do here. Ahead of doctrine, ahead of certainty, ahead of any one singular belief. The people sitting around you are Christian and Buddhist and Jewish and humanist and atheist and still deciding. Sometimes several of those are all within one family, and we like it that way. What we share is a way of living. Show up, tell the truth, look after each other, and keep working toward a world more just and more loving than the one we've got. And love at the center means you. If you're queer or trans, this congregation celebrates you on purpose out loud. If you're an immigrant, whatever your paperwork says, you are our neighbor, and this house knows it. Your children belong in this room as much as anybody does. And your questions are welcome, those most of all. This faith was never handed down finished. It gets worked out in rooms like this one, question by question. Summer runs at its own pace around here. Reverend Israel, our minister, is away, planning the coming year of programming, looking after his own 2 kids, and attempting some actual rest. He's back in the pulpit, this very pulpit, in September. Until then, each week, a member or a guest takes the morning with something they know and love. Some have done it for years, some are being brave for the first time. And it makes for some of the best Sundays of the year, so glad you all are here with us. Sit or stand for hymns as your body prefers, come and go as you need, and stay for coffee in the social hall afterward. There are people here who would genuinely love to meet you. And now our announcements.
There will be a World Cup final watch party here in the social hall on Sunday, July 19th, beginning at 2 p.m. for UUFH members and their invited guests. Details about the day and how to pay are in the flash. Now it's time to sign up to teach religious education for 2026 through 2027. Teach the next generation of UUs by volunteering as an RE teacher. All grades and ages of children and youth are available. See the flash for more details or contact Sarah Jens to learn more. I will now invite my brother Whit to light the chalice. Attention is the beginning of devotion. Mary Oliver wrote that in her collection of essays called Upstream, and so we begin. We light this flame as an act of attention, a bright noticing in a hurrying world. To attend to a thing is to begin to love it. The volunteer lilac, the stranger without a name, even the beliefs and values we carry unwittingly. Devotion, in the end, is the love that has learned to stay. May this flame teach us to look and to keep looking. May what we notice become what we cherish. May what we cherish no longer pass without attention. We light this chalice for the love that begins in attention, so we be changed by what we did not expect.
When I was first introduced to poetry in late grade school, I remember 2 kind of constant tropes. The celebration of victorious heroes, or the mourning of tragic lovers. And today I'm not interested in those poems, especially not for a UU service. Today I'm interested in the unexpected, because I think poetry, when you give attention to a subject, it elevates it, right? And that's kind of the theme for today. So I'm interested in verse that elevates the mundane. I'm interested in what those loud poems disregard. A river celebrated only by its fish, a grandmother who remembers every neighborhood dog's name, or the self you become when you pause to watch the rainfall even when you're already running late for a meeting. That kind of poetry demands our care rather than our praise and our admiration. It invites us to extend our imagination to a life separate from our own. In short, I'm talking about using poetry today and always as a vehicle for empathy. As Millie read before, Mary Oliver called attention the beginning of devotion. And the same holds true for love. To observe something closely, be it a stranger, an animal, or a simple object, and wonder what it feels, carries, or desires, is itself a form of love. And this is exactly what we will practice throughout this hour. The service will move in two parts, which is why we have the table set up in the back. You have all passed the first test of the day, which was sitting in the part one seating up here, so thank you for that. We're going to listen to some poems this morning that uncover the unexpected other and the unexpected self, and then in the second half of the service, we're going to sit at those tables and write a few lines together. I promise it'll be painless. I know writing poetry is not everyone's bag. It's okay. Everyone's going to write a couplet, no more than that. Kids and adults, everyone together. We'll write a few lines together, returning consistently to a singular thought: attention as the beginning of love, attention as a core UU principle. Our reading.
The first reading is called Famous by Naomi Shishab Nye. The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which knew it would inherit the earth before anyone else said so. The cat sleeping on the fence is famous to the birds watching him from the birdhouse. The tear is famous briefly to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is famous only to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it, not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to the shuffling men who smile while crossing the streets. Sticky children in the grocery lines, famous as the one who smiles back. I want to be famous in the way a pulley is famous, or a buttonhole, not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do.
Now we come to what we call moments of the heart. This is the part of the morning where we say what we're actually carrying, not just the fine thanks version. We do it in front of each other because carrying something alone is often what makes it more heavy. We know we can't fix everything here. You just stop being alone with it. If something's on your heart, there are cards in the baskets along the side ledges and folks nearby who can lend a hand if you'd like one. Write it down, and while Dylan plays, you can bring it up. I don't know if we have a pastoral care associate, but we do. Martha's there. You can bring it to Martha at the front. She'll have a basket. I'll read them aloud, not because it fixes things, but simply because there's power in shared life. And card or no card, anyone can come light a candle. No words necessary. Okay. Okay, we have one card here. I pray for our democracy, which we have just celebrated, but which is threatened. We're grateful to be celebrating our daughter's 37th birthday. Yay. Finally retired after 54 years in education and medical education research. But continuing as an adjunct professor. I am eternally grateful to those who create beauty out of words, whether the poet or the author who writes many, many words. Very charming. Sweetie, you have a job. Dylan will now play Spirit of Life. Okay, so part of today's service is about the unexpected, and part of the unexpected today is that we're going to have one of our fire drills. So in a moment, the alarm will pull, we'll exit, and we'll come right back, and then we'll be writing, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I promise. So, Laura? Okay, welcome back. Thank you for returning. There's never a delicate way to handle the fire drills, and anyway, I appreciate you all coming back. So the summer services are a little more, I don't know, experimental, a little more free-form. I think, yeah, that's very nice. That's good. You're ready to wordsmith a little bit here, Judy. Nice. So we're going to make something together now. In a moment, I'll introduce a form called the Ghazal, G-H-A-Z-A-L. It's really an ancient form. Very cool one. We're going to do sort of a modified, simplified one, but basically it allows us all to write 2 lines of poetry that are disconnected in some ways, but then we put them all together and they become one. So I'm really excited to see what we all produce, but I'll tell you more about that momentarily. First, I want to share 2 more poems with you as a way of offering entry into the writing process. This is what all writers do. We read so we can steal ideas and moves and make them our own. And so the first poem, and you have them in your packets. Is there anyone who doesn't have a packet with some poems in there? You'll recognize the first page. That's the poem that Millie read by Naomi Shihab Nye. And then the second poem we skipped over because we were poetry in motion during the fire drill. And then if you go to the third page, that's where we are. So this poem is from Arthur C. just took over as poet laureate, but before him was Ada Limon. It's a poem called A Name. I'll read it aloud, and you can follow in the packet. I'll also say there are coloring pages on they're all UU coloring pages, so if you, I know some have already gotten into them, which I love. They're really nice, so feel free to color those in. Okay, here we go. A Name by Ada Limon. When Eve walked among the animals and named them, nightingale, red-shouldered hawk, fiddler crab, fallow deer. I wonder if she ever wanted them to speak back, looked into their wide, wonderful eyes and whispered, "Name me, name me." So in the poem, Eve walks among the animals and names them, nightingale, hawk, fiddler crab, fallow deer. And the speaker wonders whether Eve ever wanted them to speak back, to name her in return. It models the inward turn toward an overlooked other. the creature that may be reaching towards us, longing to be known, and the reciprocity we feel in that. Next, we'll listen to an excerpt from Whitman's There Was a Child Went Forth. It's about a child who becomes whatever he stops to look at. So, you can follow along here too. There was a child went forth every day, and the first object he looked upon, that object he became, and that object became part of him for the day or a certain part of the day, or for many years or stretching cycles of years. The early lilacs became part of this child, and the third-month lambs, and the sow's pink faint litter, and the mare's foal, and the cow's calf, and the noisy brood of the barnyard or by the mire of the pondside, and the schoolmistress that passed on her way to the school, and the friendly boys that passed, and the quarrelsome boys, and all the changes of city and country wherever he went. His own parents, he that had fathered him, and she that had conceived him in her womb and birthed him, they gave this child more of themselves than that. They gave him afterward every day. They became part of him. The mother at home quietly placing the dishes on the supper table. The mother with mild words, clean her cap and gown, a wholesome odor falling off her person and clothes as she walks by. These became part of that child who went forth every day and who now goes and will always go forth every day. So those two poems kind of meet from opposite directions. Whitman's child walks out the door, and whatever he really looks at, a lilac, a lamb, the schoolmistress, even his own mother at the supper table, that becomes part of him forever. Ada Limon turns the lens around. She imagines Eve naming the animals, then wondering whether they wanted to name her back, the overlooked creature with a longing of its own, Eve in that poem. Both poems highlight acts of love to let another life in so fully to yours that it becomes part of you, and to grant the overlooked an inner life of its own. So that's the empathy I was talking about before, and that's what we're going to practice on the page today using an ancient poetic form called the ghazal. A ghazal is built from couplets. A couplet is two lines within a poem. Could stand alone as its own poem, but I think quite famously, everyone will remember, like high school, you read Shakespeare, you probably were subjected to Sonnet 116 or something like that. And a Shakespearean sonnet has 3 quatrains, 3 sets of 4 lines, followed by the couplet, the 2 lines at the end, which is sort of like the resolution. So that's sort of famously where people come across couplets, but we're going to use them slightly differently today. There's more to the ghazal than just that it's a couplet. One other feature is that each couplet's going to end with the same word, and that's the feature of the ghazal that we're going to use today. It's a way that even though we're all writing our own couplets, that single word at the end is going to link them all together. So when we put them in whatever sequence we choose to put them in, the continuity will come through that single word, and that word will be love. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to write a couplet in a little bit. I'm going to take you through kind of a whole exercise here, but at the end there are note cards on your tables, and if you don't have, we have plenty more. I'm going to ask you to write your couplet on there. The only rule is that it has to end in love, okay, the word love, right? So 2 lines and the word love, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that. Okay, so we're going to start by brainstorming, right? I've sort of framed everything. What do we need? Cards? Okay, we'll get you cards. Sort of framed everything as starting with attention, right? Looking at something with fresh eyes or curious eyes or thoughtful eyes or loving eyes. It starts there. To pay attention to something is, I think, in some ways, like the first move towards loving it, right? I'm drawing that from Mary Oliver's piece. So here's the first exercise. Everyone ready? Okay. Very simply, I want you to, anywhere on your paper, there should be plenty of margin space in the packets. Name one thing you've really looked at since you woke up this morning. Name one thing you've really looked at. Could be an animal, a tree, maybe some swarm detritus in the road, a person that most people pass by, right? Just think about something that you've really noticed today. It could be anything at all. It could be yesterday, yeah. Day before, whenever you want to go. Anything you want. I would suggest starting in the concrete and then moving to the abstract. But if you're being pulled somewhere, then stay there. Yeah, I think the packet says 5. If you can get to 5, that's great. If you can brainstorm up to 5 to be able to draw. If you're feeling stuck, there's a little bit of guidance on the packet here under number 1. That might get you unstuck. Okay, is there anyone who doesn't have anything at all? It's okay. Okay, all right. Well, yeah, we'll figure something out here. All right, so I want you to choose one of those objects, whichever one strikes you as being particularly interesting or meaningful this morning. And if you go to number 2 on the packet here, I'm asking you to reflect a bit. And you can answer one or both of these questions. We try to be as detailed as possible. We had a question that came here. The move that we're going to be making in line 1 of the couplet to line 2 of the couplet, sort of moving from the more concrete object to the more abstract sense of it, all centered around love. So choose one of the items that you selected and write about it. You can answer one or both of the questions that are below, and just be as vibrant and detailed in your response as you can. All right. How did this object, this idea, this thing that you came across that you paid attention to, just like Whitman's child and Every Day a Child Went Forth, how did that become a part of you? And taking our cue from the Ada Limon poem Eve, if this thing could look back at you and speak, what might it say? Right. So you can think about those 2 things. right, so we've thought about this object, we've thought about possibly the impact, and if you're not there yet, there are plenty more on-roads, I promise, we're going to get there. But now I want to move into the free write portion, where you sort of take whatever ideas you have, and you just get everything out on the page. It's a really hard process, but I think it's an important one to just kind of brain dump, right? Just get you have this object, you have some thinking around it, and how it's influenced you, and now I want you to just get as much about that on the page as possible, right? And we're moving towards writing this couplet, which is very short form, but you want to get as much out as you can so then we can kind of clip and bring it down to something more manageable and to something that is really kind of packed with meaning. So you'll see there under number 3, there are some instructions on a free write. I've given you some prompts if you want to use them, but you certainly don't have to. But it's basically just write as much as you can about this thing. And some of you might already be there, by the way. I see some pages already filling up. All right. If you want to try for a second object or for another approach, that's fine too, okay? But just spend the next 3 to 4 minutes just writing as much as you can in one place. And there's no form or structure here. I'm sorry, I didn't give that. We're not writing our poems yet. We're just writing our ideas. All right. I hope you're enjoying writing. I love to write, and I find that sometimes when people don't, and then they do, they enjoy it more than they expect. So I hope you're all enjoying it. All right, I want to move towards our couplets now. So this is where you take everything that you've kind of been working on here, all the ideas that you've been able to get down on paper, and you want to turn it into a 2-line poem, basically, a couplet. So the only rule here is that it has to be 2 lines, and it has to end with the word love. And that's it, okay? L-O-V-E, yep, love, right at the end. And then let's say within the next 6 or 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes or so, if you can get that couplet onto your note card and then I'll take that. You don't have to put your name on it, but I'll take all those note cards and we're going to arrange them, and we're going to find some way to broadcast this all together. Questions? Two rules and two rules only. Everything you've written now condensed into a 2-line couplet, and the only other rule is that the last word in the couplet, the second line, last word, is love. So the first line can be anything, and the second line just has to end with the word love. Yes? All right, you're welcome to keep writing, but we're going to move to our split plate in just a second. But I do want to just give you a little preview of what this form kind of does. So I'll read just a couple of couplets that were submitted, and please keep writing if you need to. Fireworks can be fired for love. Fireworks can be fired for things that don't carry love. A fallen branch on my Sunday drive reminds me of Mother Nature, regeneration, and love. My mind travels backwards, forwards, in constant motion, churning, working, but above all has been touched by love. Our cat is sick, and I give it medicine. I have to chase it to deliver the medicine. Love. A bunny hops to its mom, that's love. A girl runs to her mom, that's love. The night storm discarded sharp branches. Nestled in wet grass, crumpled leaves remind me to love. Right, so you can kind of get the effect here. They're all disconnected, and yet they all kind of center around this. So Millie's going around, she's collecting them. If you want, you could also just drop it to me on the way out. We're going to find a way to put this together and really preserve what was done today, which was really lovely. Thank you all for engaging so fully in that activity. Millie? Mill, can you come up? You've got to read the split plate, dear. This is kind of heavy. Actually, if you have it on paper, that's
okay. Our offering this morning supports our split plate program, which means undesignated gifts are shared between the UUFH and our charity of the month unless you specify otherwise. We use Realm for electronic giving. You can scan the QR code on the screen or text UUFH to 73256 or use the Realm app if you have it on your phone. The default fund is the Sunday split plate, but you can adjust using the drop-down menu. This month, our charity of the month is Long Island Cares. Founded in late Harry Chapin in 1980, Long Island Cares, the Harry Chapin Food Bank, has worked for more than 4 decades to ensure that no Long Islander goes hungry. Today, that mission is more critical than ever. The price of groceries has climbed dramatically, and the transportation costs remain high, and household budgets stretch beyond their limits. Hunger does not disintegrate, and in this moment, helping our neighbors is a revolutionary act of compassion. Any funds raised through this congregation's split plate offering will directly support Long Island Care South Huntington Food Pantry, helping to provide nutritious food and essential support to our local children, families, veterans, seniors, and individuals experiencing hardship.
Just a quick practical note before we extinguish the chalice. If you would like to take any of the coloring material, the papers, please do, and keep the packet. We'll come around and collect all the pencils and markers and all of that stuff afterwards. So, okay. Ready, Mel? Go now as careful noticers. Where you expected a stranger, may you find an inviting smile. Where you thought you had finished knowing yourself, may you meet a wider, stranger, kinder self. Carry a poem in your pocket like a small lit window. One line for the bus stop, one for the kitchen sink, one for the person whose name you do not yet know. We put out this flame, but not the noticing it stood for. For attention, we have said, is the beginning of love. Go gently, with open eyes, go in empathy, and go in love. Thank you all. Dylan will play our postlude.